And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Going to the islands. That's what Dream Islands is all about. Or being a tour guide and trying to get people to islands. And you know how tourists can be. Yes, of course. Right? Well, that's the theme of this game. But the theme of this game about sending tourists to different islands and different things is a little bit abstracted here. Basically, you're moving tourists around to different islands, trying to accomplish different goal cards in your hand and score the most points with those. It's a pretty little game. Is it fun, though? Let's find out. Everyone has 5 pieces here on the airplane. This is actually not part of the board. The board is kind of a loop here. You can see the islands are going around and around, although you can break off from the loop and land on these central islands, which will give you points at the end of the game. Each player is going to get a player board, and on this player board it's going to show 2, 3, 4, 5. They're also going to get 4 seashells, which they put next to that. Each player is also going to start with a 6th person out on one of the islands, and that's determined by player order. Finally, each player is going to get a deck of mission cards. These mission cards are going to show their people. So this guy's, the red player is a bunch of bros, while, for example, the green player is a bunch of hippies. Doesn't really matter. The cards are exactly the same. You'll have 3 of these cards in your hand, and you start the game. On your turn, it's pretty simple. You take one of your seashells, put it on one of these numbers, and that's how many spaces you can move. Once all the spots are filled, you can start over again. So let's say I pick 3. I could do this as red. I could go 1, 2, 3, or I could go 1, 2, 3. I can move multiple people. And again, you just have to follow the arrows moving in the loop. If you move to the center island, the first person moved there lands on the 3, the next person on one of the 2s, and then after that, anyone who goes to the center islands just lands on the 1 spot. After you move, you then see if you've accomplished some of your missions. Now, some missions just require you to have an exact number of your dudes in one space. So if I have 3 guys here, I can play this card. I've accomplished this card. I can't do it with 2, obviously, but I also can't do it with 4. It has to be exactly that number. And each person has 2 to 5 in their deck. You also can accomplish missions if you have meeples on connecting islands. So if I have meeples like this, that's 4 connecting islands, this mission is finished. Again, it does not work if I have 5. It has to be exactly 4. And then finally, if you have the most guys on a particular island. So this shows this island right here. I have the most on that island, and it has to be more than everyone else. So if there was 3 other people and I have 3, that's not enough. I would need 4, and then I could play that card. And so as you look through your deck here, you'll see that that's what all the cards are. Have the most on islands, have connected, or have a specific amount on the island. Each card that you complete, you leave in front of you, and at the end of your turn, you'll draw back up to 3, and you can also discard cards if you want before you draw back up to 3. When one person has gone through all their mission cards, or when there are 6 meeples on the island in the middle, then the game ends. At that point, you score. You'll score for these guys here in the middle, but you're also going to score 2 points for each mission card that you've completed. And then whoever has the most points is going to be the winner of the game. Okay, so that's the game. Also in points, you score 3 bonus points if you get rid of all your missions. And honestly, right there, you should tell. Just remember, you see in the middle of the board, hey, I can get points if I accomplish missions and go in different spots in the middle islands. But really, your mission cards being worth 2 points, get as many mission cards done as you can. So the goal each turn is to do 1 mission card for sure. If you don't get 1 mission card done, you're not doing well. You should try to get 2 done if possible. And sometimes if you're very lucky, you can do all 3. And that's the whole point of this game, is to as quickly as possible get those mission cards done. One of the things I found is that cycling through your mission cards, I have no way of doing this one, then put it on the bottom and get cards in your hand that you can. That's definitely an advantage to doing well in the game. But that being said, the game is very light. Obviously, you want to use the movement that you need for that turn. No more, I wouldn't say no less, doesn't matter, but you don't want to use more than the movement you need because you might need 5 movement on a future turn. The idea of putting the seashells on a different movement, that's easy, it's simple, it's fun. But for the most part, you're like, can I accomplish these missions on my turn? Yes or no. And if I can't, I'll discard them and draw more. There's not a lot of forward planning because you don't know what cards you're going to get in the future. You're cycling around, building chains, having a certain amount on one. It's just very simple, but that doesn't mean it's not fun. This is just one of those light, breezy games. This is the kind of game I sit there and I'm talking to other people. We're having a good time while we're playing it. Not spectacular, nothing fantastic, but at the same time, it's like, hey, I'm moving here, and it's fun. You get to accomplish goals, and this would work well as a family game. As the family gets together and they're playing, and you can play this with grandma and with kids even can play this game because, again, the difficulty if it's not hard. The theming, like I said, is kind of there. There's the different groups of people. I think one team is a business group going out on a team building exercise, whatever, but that's barely there. Just moving the people around on the different islands. Getting the most on an island is not as hard as you might think, even in a 4-player game. By the way, in a 2-player game, you have to have, I think, 2 more than the other person to have majority of that island. So you can try to stop your opponent by spreading out. But this game isn't really about stopping your opponent. It's about doing the best that you can on your any given turn. No strategy here at all, really, just tactical movement and trying to do the best on your turn. Light, but still fun. That's Dream Islands. Dice Tower Judgment approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.